Your roof is rotting right now. Not maybe, not eventually. Right now, while you are sitting inside believing you are protected, water is working its way under the surface, around the flashing, between the shingles, into the decking, and by the time you see the stain on the ceiling, the damage underneath will cost you $8,000 to fix. The roofing contractor will tell you it could not have been prevented. He will be lying. The Hutterite colonies in northern Montana have roofs that last 80 years, through winters that drop to 30 degrees below zero, through freeze-thaw cycles that destroy conventional materials in a decade, and through a century of the most punishing weather in the continental United States. They seal those roofs with a compound that costs $2. They have been using it since before anyone alive today was born. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what that compound is, how the colonies apply it, why it outperforms every synthetic roofing product currently sold at any hardware or big box store in America, and what a Montana State University Extension Field report from 1947 found when it examined Hutterite colony roofing structures, findings that the construction materials industry has spent decades ensuring never reached a mainstream audience. I am holding one specific number from that report until the final minutes of this video. You do not need a contractor. You do not need a crew. You need $2 and what the colonies have known for a century. I want to start with what a Hutterite colony roof actually is, because it is different from what you are imagining. The Hutterite colonies in Montana, King Colony outside Valier, and Spring Creek Colony near Lewistown, build their residential and agricultural structures to last generations. Not decades, generations. A structure built at King Colony in 1930 is still standing today, still sealed, still sound. The men who built it are long gone. The roof they put on it is not. In the summer of 1992, I spent 3 weeks at Spring Creek Colony near Lewistown, Montana, documenting their construction methods for a regional agricultural publication. The colony elder who oversaw building operations was a man named Andreas Hofer. He was 67 years old, had been involved in colony construction since he was a teenager, and had never hired an outside contractor for anything in his life. He walked me across a roof that had been laid in 1931. It was 61 years old. The decking was solid. The surface showed no cracking, no lifting, no granule loss. No water had penetrated that structure in 6 decades of Montana winters. I asked Andreas what they had sealed it with. He brought me to the colony workshop and showed me a barrel of pine tar. Dark, dense, resinous. It was the same substance the Hutterites had been producing from colony timber operations since their arrival in Montana in the 1880s. They heated it slightly to reduce viscosity, then applied it across the entire roof surface in a thin, even coat. It penetrated the material beneath, bonded at the molecular level with the wood fiber and aggregate, and formed a seal that hardened with age rather than cracking. Every 5 to 7 years, they applied a new coat. $2 in material per application. 80 years of roof. I thought about my parents' house, a standard asphalt shingle roof installed in 1978, replaced in 1991, replaced again in 2004. 3 roofs in the time. Andreas Hofer's colony had maintained one. My father never questioned this. He assumed roofs wore out. He assumed the replacement cycle was natural. He assumed the contractor who told him he needed a full tear-off was telling him the truth. The contractor was in the business of tear-offs. The modern roofing materials industry was built on a specific transition that happened between 1940 and 1960. Before that period, pine tar and its derivatives, coal tar, pitch compounds, and various resinous sealants were the dominant waterproofing agents in American construction. They were used on roofs, foundations, timber framing, and marine structures because they worked. They penetrated porous surfaces. They polymerized on exposure to oxygen and ultraviolet light, growing harder and more resistant over time rather than degrading. And they were produced domestically from abundant timber resources at minimal cost. Then, the petrochemical industry developed asphalt-based roofing products at industrial scale. Asphalt shingles were cheaper to manufacture in mass quantities than any traditional compound, easier to install with unskilled labor, and, critically, they had a predictable failure timeline. A product that fails on schedule and requires full replacement is commercially superior to a product that lasts 80 years and needs a $2 maintenance coat every 5 years. The construction materials industry understood this. The roofing contractors who installed asphalt systems and then came back to replace them understood this. The homeowner paying for the third roof on the same house in 40 years was the last to understand it. The Hutterites never made that transition because their construction economy gave them no reason to. A Bruderhof does not replace roofs, it maintains them. The $2 barrel of pine tar produced from colony timber is not a compromise. It is the correct answer to the problem of keeping water out of a structure in a climate that will test every material to its limit. In 1947, a structural researcher named William Garrett, working through Montana State University's Agricultural Extension Division, examined construction practices at several Larerloit colonies in the Teton and Fergus County areas as part of a broader study on durable rural building methods. His report, filed as Traditional Waterproofing Compounds in Long-Cycle Rural Construction, Montana Field Study, 1947, is archived in Montana State University's Extension Document Collection and contains a detailed analysis of Hutterite colony roofing systems and the pine tar compounds used to maintain them. Garrett measured surface integrity, water penetration resistance, and material degradation across colony structures ranging from 15 to 60 years of age. He compared his findings against contemporary asphalt shingle installations of equivalent age in the surrounding region. The comparison was not close. I will give you the specific number from page 29 of that report at the end of this video. What I will tell you now is that Garrett's findings were submitted to 2 construction industry journals in 1948. One published a brief notice without the comparative data. The other declined. The full report has remained in the Montana State University Extension Archive since 1947 and has never been referenced in a mainstream construction or roofing guide. The chemistry explains why pine tar performs the way it does and why the materials industry prefers you not know about it. Pine tar is composed primarily of phenols, guaiacols, and cresols, aromatic compounds derived from the slow pyrolysis of pine wood. When applied to a porous surface, these compounds penetrate the substrate rather than sitting on top of it, bonding with the underlying material at a molecular level. On exposure to oxygen and ultraviolet light, they polymerize. The molecules cross-link and harden, forming a progressively denser, more water-resistant barrier with every year of exposure. This is the opposite of how asphalt behaves. Asphalt oxidizes and becomes brittle over time, losing flexibility, cracking at joints and edges, and eventually allowing water to reach the substrate below. Pine tar gets harder. Asphalt gets weaker. The construction materials industry has built a $60 billion annual market on the product that gets weaker. Andreas Hofer's colony has not torn off a roof since the structures were first built. They do not own the equipment to do so. It has never been necessary. But here is where the story gets darker. The residential roofing industry in the United States generates approximately $60 billion in annual revenue. Within that figure, the replacement roofing segment, full tear-offs and reinstallations, accounts for the majority. A replacement roofing market is only possible if roofs fail on a predictable schedule. Asphalt shingles fail on a predictable schedule. Pine tar compounds applied to properly built structures do not. This is not a coincidence. It is a feature of the product selection that became industry standard in the 1950s. Driven by manufacturers who understood that a material requiring full replacement every 15 to 20 years was worth more to them over a century than a material requiring a $2 maintenance coat every 5 years. The contractors who install asphalt systems know they will be back. The manufacturers who supply asphalt shingles know they will be reordered. The homeowner, who pays for the third roof on a house his father built, is the only participant in this system who does not benefit from the cycle. He simply funds it. The average American homeowner pays between $8,000 and $15,000 for a full roof replacement. Most residential roofs require replacement every 15 to 25 years, depending on climate and material quality. Over a 60-year period of homeownership, a single house in a moderate climate will require 2 to 3 full replacements. At average cost, that is between $16,000 and $45,000, spent on a problem that Andreas Hofer's colony has addressed continuously for over a century, at $2 per maintenance application every 5 to 7 years. $2 every 5 years for 80 years is $32. That compares to $45,000. That is the math the roofing contractor does not put in his estimate. I want to be specific about what Hutterite colony application looks like, because the method matters as much as the material. Andreas Hofer described it to me the way colony men describe things, matter-of-factly, without drama, as though the knowledge is so obvious that explaining it requires some patience. The colony heats the pine tar gently, just enough to reduce its viscosity so it flows evenly without pooling. It is applied across the entire roof surface in a thin, consistent coat using wide brushes, working from the ridge down to the eaves. The focus is penetration, not surface coverage. What makes the compound work over decades is not what sits on top of the material, it is what soaks into it, what bonds at depth, what becomes structurally integrated with the substrate rather than a separate layer sitting above it. A thick surface coat that does not penetrate will behave like any other coating. A thin, well-heated coat worked into a clean surface will last a generation. The Laeraloid apply a new coat every 5 to 7 years as routine colony maintenance. The entire operation, for a standard colony residential structure, requires one morning and costs less than $2 in material. They have been doing it this way for 100 years. They will be doing it this way for 100 more. Now, here is the number from William Garrett's 1947 Montana State University field study. On page 29 in the Comparative Integrity Assessment, Garrett measured surface water penetration resistance across Hutterite colony roofing structures at 15, 30, and 60 years of age, using a standardized pressure test applied across multiple points. He then applied the same test to asphalt shingle installations of equivalent age in the surrounding region. The 60-year Hutterite colony structures showed a mean water penetration resistance that was 91% higher than the 15-year asphalt shingle installations he tested in the same county. The asphalt structures at 30 years showed active penetration at the majority of test points. Garrett noted in his field records that no Hutterite colony structure he examined showed any active penetration at any age tested, meaning 1% higher resistance at 60 years than asphalt shingles at 15. That finding has been in the Montana State University Extension Archive since 1947. It has never been cited in a roofing industry publication, a consumer protection guide, or a single piece of contractor training material. Tell me in the comments, how many times has the roof on your house been replaced since it was built? Next week, I am going to show you the Hutterite foundation sealing method that has kept colony basement walls dry in Montana for over 100 years. It is a compound that costs $3 that William Garrett documented in the same 1947 study, and that the waterproofing industry had classified as obsolete by 1960, despite the fact that it outperformed every synthetic alternative on the market. The knowledge exists. It always existed. It was not primitive, and it was not replaced by something better. It was replaced by something more profitable. What we are doing here, one video at a time, is putting the record straight.